The British East India Company arrived in India in the 17th century. They came to trade, but their ambitions grew. The company slowly gained control over parts of India. They exploited divisions among local rulers. By the 1800s, the British ruled most of India. This vast land became their most valuable colony, the jewel in the crown. The British exploited India's resources and people for their own gain. They took raw materials like cotton and shipped them to Britain. These were turned into finished goods and sold back to Indians at a profit. This system made Britain wealthy but kept India poor. British rule also brought significant changes to Indian society. They introduced Western education and legal systems. However, they also imposed their own values and beliefs. This led to resentment and a growing desire for self-rule among Indians. The British saw themselves as superior to Indians. They lived in separate communities and rarely mixed with the local population. This racial discrimination fueled anger and resistance against British rule. World War II had a profound impact on India and the British Empire. Britain, fighting for survival against Nazi Germany, demanded India's support. Millions of Indians were recruited to fight in the war. They fought bravely in Europe and other theatres of war. The war drained Britain's resources and weakened its global standing. It became clear that Britain could no longer maintain its vast empire. The war also exposed the hypocrisy of Britain's claim to be fighting for freedom and democracy while denying it to its own colonies. The war effort fueled Indian industry and gave rise to a new class of educated Indians. They were exposed to new ideas and became more politically aware. This increased demands for independence and self-governance. The end of the war saw the rise of the United States and the Soviet Union as superpowers. These nations opposed colonialism and supported the right of self-determination for all peoples. This international pressure further weakened Britain's hold on India. The desire for freedom had been simmering in India for decades. The exploitation, discrimination and humiliation of British rule fueled a growing sense of nationalism. Indians from all walks of life, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs and others, united in their demand for independence. The Indian National Congress, founded in 1885, became the leading voice of the independence movement. Initially, the Congress sought greater autonomy within the British Empire. However, by the 1940s, the demand for complete independence became paramount. Nationalist leaders emerged, inspiring millions with their message of freedom and self-reliance. They organized mass protests, boycotts, and civil disobedience campaigns. These movements challenged British authority and demonstrated the strength of the Indian people's desire for freedom. The British responded to these protests with repression and violence. They imprisoned nationalist leaders and used force to quell demonstrations. However, these tactics only served to strengthen the resolve of the Indian people. Mahatma Gandhi, with his philosophy of non-violent resistance, became the iconic leader of the Indian independence movement. His message of satyagraha, or truth force, resonated with millions. He urged Indians to resist British rule through non-cooperation and civil disobedience. Jawaharlal Nehru, a close associate of Gandhi, emerged as another prominent leader. Nehru, a charismatic figure, advocated for a modern, secular and democratic India. He played a key role in shaping the vision of independent India. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, a shrewd strategist, was instrumental in uniting the princely states with India. He played a crucial role in integrating these states into the newly independent nation. Subhas Chandra Bose, a radical nationalist, formed the Forward Bloc and sought support from Axis powers during World War II. While his methods were controversial, Bose's actions highlighted the desperation for freedom. Section 5. The Price of Empire Economic Strain on Post-War Britain. World War II left Britain economically exhausted. Rebuilding the war-torn nation took priority. Maintaining the vast empire, with its military commitments and administrative costs, became a burden. India, once the jewel in the crown, was no longer as profitable. The war had disrupted trade and industry. The cost of maintaining control over a restless population outweighed the economic benefits. British industries faced competition from other nations. India, with its growing industrial base, was no longer entirely dependent on British goods. This further reduced the economic incentive for holding on to India. The Labour Party, which came to power in Britain after the war, was sympathetic to the aspirations of colonised people. They recognised the need to grant independence to India and other colonies. Section 6. The winds of change, political shifts and global pressure. Many European powers, weakened by the war, granted independence to their colonies. This global trend put further pressure on Britain to follow suit. The United States and the Soviet Union, the emerging superpowers, opposed colonialism. They supported the right of self-determination for all nations. This international pressure made it difficult for Britain to justify its continued rule over India. Within Britain itself, public opinion had shifted. The war had made people question the cost of empire. There was growing support for granting independence to India. The Labour government, led by Clement Attlee, recognised the inevitability of Indian independence. They believed that a negotiated transfer of power was in the best interests of both Britain and India. Section 7. Independence in sight, the partition of India and Pakistan. As independence approached, the issue of Muslim representation came to the forefront. The Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, demanded a separate Muslim state, arguing that Muslims would be marginalized in a Hindu-majority India. The Congress Party, initially opposed to partition, reluctantly agreed to the creation of Pakistan. They hoped that this would prevent further bloodshed and allow for a peaceful transfer of power. The partition plan, announced in June 1947, divided British India into two independent dominions, India and Pakistan. The decision triggered mass migrations and communal violence. Millions of Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs were displaced from their homes. The partition was a traumatic event, accompanied by widespread violence and loss of life. It remains a sensitive issue in the history of India and Pakistan. Section 8. A New Dawn. India's independence and its legacy. On August 15, 1947, India achieved its long-cherished dream of independence. Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister of independent India. The nation embarked on a new chapter in its long history. India adopted a democratic constitution, guaranteeing equal rights to all its citizens regardless of religion, caste or creed. It became the world's largest democracy, a beacon of hope for other newly independent nations. India faced numerous challenges after independence, including poverty, illiteracy and social inequality. However, the nation made remarkable progress in various fields, becoming a major economic and technological power. India's independence movement, with its emphasis on non-violent resistance, inspired freedom struggles around the world. It remains a testament to the power of peaceful protest and the indomitable spirit of the human desire for freedom. Section 9. The End of Empire. The British Withdrawal from India. The British withdrawal from India marked the end of the British Empire. It was a momentous event, signalling the decline of European colonialism and the rise of new global powers. The British left behind a mixed legacy in India. While British rule brought about significant changes, it also left deep scars. The exploitation, discrimination and violence of colonialism continue to shape the relationship between Britain and India. The British withdrawal was not without its challenges. The partition, the communal violence and the mass migrations were a tragic consequence of the hasty departure. Despite the challenges, the British withdrawal paved the way for India to chart its own destiny. It allowed India to reclaim its place on the world stage as a free and independent nation. Section 10. Reflections on Freedom, the Lasting Impact of Indian Independence. India's independence was a triumph of the human spirit. It was a victory for the countless individuals who fought, sacrificed and dreamed of a free India. The independence movement taught the world the power of non-violent resistance. It showed that even the mightiest empires could be challenged and overcome through peaceful means. India's journey since independence has been remarkable. Despite the challenges, the nation has made significant progress in various fields. It stands as a testament to the resilience and potential of its people. The legacy of Indian independence continues to inspire people around the world who strive for freedom, justice, and equality. It serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can overcome adversity and achieve the impossible.